The galaxy had long regarded humanity as an anomaly, a species that rose too quickly, spread too far, and asked too many questions. For centuries, humans were tolerated, their colonies scattered across the stars, their influence minimal. But beneath the surface of their unassuming presence lay a secret, buried so deep that even humanity itself had forgotten. A secret that, once uncovered, would shake the foundations of the galaxy. Dr. Alara Voss stood in the dim light of her lab, her gloved hands trembling as she examined the artifact. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, a smooth, obsidian-like obelisk etched with intricate patterns that seemed to shift under the light. The artifact had been unearthed on a desolate planet, far from any human settlement, and its discovery had already caused ripples of unease among the Galactic Council. But Alara wasn't concerned with politics. She was a scientist, driven by curiosity and an unshakable need to understand the unknown. The artifact hummed faintly, a low, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through her bones. As she ran a scanner over its surface, the device lit up with readings that made her breath catch. The patterns weren't just decorative. They were a form of encoding a genetic blueprint, and it matched human DNA. Not just a fragment or a strand, but the entire sequence, down to the last nucleotide. The implications were staggering. This artifact predated humanity by millions of years. How was that possible? Alara's mind raced as she cross-referenced the data. The artifact's energy signature was unlike anything recorded in the galactic database. It wasn't just ancient, it was alien, yet intimately connected to humanity. She felt a chill run down her spine. This wasn't just a discovery. It was a revelation, one that had been deliberately hidden. But by whom? And why? The answer came sooner than she expected. A message flashed on her console, marked urgent. The Galactic Council had caught wind of her findings. They demanded she cease her research immediately and turn over the artifact. Alara's jaw tightened. She had always known the Council viewed humanity with suspicion, but this reaction was extreme. They weren't just concerned, they were afraid. And that fear told her everything she needed to know. The secret in human DNA wasn't just a scientific curiosity. It was a threat. She hesitated for only a moment before making her decision. The artifact's data was too important to hand over. If the Council wanted it buried, then it was her duty to uncover the truth. She encrypted the files, packed the artifact into a secure container, and prepared to disappear. The galaxy might fear what she was about to reveal, but Alara knew one thing for certain. The truth couldn't stay hidden forever. As she slipped into the shadows, the artifact's hum grew louder, almost as if it were alive. Alara couldn't shake the feeling that it was waiting for the right moment, the right person, to unlock its secrets. And she was determined to be that person, no matter the cost. The galaxy had underestimated humanity for too long. It was time to show them why that was a mistake. The artifact's data was a labyrinth of information, each layer more complex than the last. Alara worked tirelessly, her lab now a makeshift sanctuary hidden deep within an abandoned mining outpost. The Galactic Council's enforcers were searching for her, their ships scouring the sector, but she had no intention of being found. Not until she understood what the artifact was trying to tell her. As she deciphered the genetic code, a pattern began to emerge. The sequences weren't random. They were instructions, a blueprint for something far beyond human comprehension. The artifact spoke of an ancient civilization, the Eternus, a race so advanced they had transcended physical form, becoming beings of pure energy. They had seeded life across the galaxy, guiding its evolution with meticulous precision. But humanity was different. Humanity was their masterpiece, their weapon. Alara's hands shook as she pieced together the fragments. The Eternus had designed humanity to be adaptable, resilient, and capable of rapid evolution. Their DNA contained a unique code, a hidden trigger that could unlock abilities far beyond those of any other species. But the Eternus had also feared what they had created. Humanity's potential was limitless, but so was their capacity for destruction. In their final act, the Eternus had buried the truth, hoping to prevent the galaxy from facing the consequences of their creation. The artifact's final message was a warning. If humanity ever discovered the truth, they would face a choice: to use their power to protect the galaxy or to dominate it. The Eternists had left no guarantees, only the hope that humanity would rise above their flaws and embrace their destiny. Illyra stared at the screen, her mind reeling. This wasn't just about humanity's past. It was about their future, and the galaxy's fear suddenly made sense. They weren't just afraid of what humanity could become. They were afraid of what they already were. Illyra knew she couldn't keep this to herself. The artifact's data needed to be shared, but doing so would risk igniting a war. The Galactic Council would stop at nothing to suppress the truth, and humanity's awakening would only fuel their paranoia. But keeping the secret was no longer an option. The artifact's energy was growing stronger, its hum now a constant presence in the back of her mind. It was as if the artifact itself was urging her to act, to fulfill the purpose it had been waiting for. She began transmitting the data, encrypting it, and sending it to every human colony she could reach. The message was simple. Humanity's DNA held the key to their true potential, but unlocking it would come at a cost. The galaxy would fear them, fight them, and try to destroy them. But if they stood together, they could overcome anything. The transmissions were risky. It wasn't long before the Council's enforcers traced the signal. Illyra knew her time was running out, but she also knew she had done what she could. The rest was up to humanity. As the first ships descended on the outpost, Illyra activated the artifact's final protocol. The obelisk surface cracked, revealing a core of pure energy that pulsed with a blinding light. She felt a surge of power, a connection to something vast and ancient. The artifact wasn't just a relic. It was a key, and she had unlocked it. The enforcers burst into the lab, their weapons trained on her, but it was too late. The energy from the artifact enveloped her, and for a moment, she felt as if she were part of something greater, something eternal. When the light faded, the enforcers found nothing but an empty lab and a shattered obelisk. Illyra was gone, but her message had already spread. Across the galaxy, humanity began to change. The code in their DNA activated, unlocking abilities they had never imagined. The Galactic Council's worst fears were coming true, but for humanity, it was only the beginning. The secret had been buried for a reason, but now it was free, and the galaxy would soon learn the truth. The Galactic Council's response was swift and merciless. Human colonies were targeted in a coordinated assault, their defenses overwhelmed by the sheer firepower of the Council's fleets. The message was clear. Humanity's awakening would not be tolerated. But the Council had underestimated the very thing they feared. Humanity was no longer the scattered, vulnerable species they had once been. The code in their DNA had been activated, and with it came a transformation that defied all logic. On the colony of Eridanus Prime, the first signs of change appeared. Survivors of the initial bombardment began to exhibit extraordinary abilities. Wounds healed in seconds, broken bones mended themselves, and those who had been near death rose with newfound strength. The colonists, once desperate and afraid, now fought back with ferocity that stunned their attackers. The Council's forces, expecting an easy victory, found themselves facing an enemy that refused to die. Word of Eridanus Prime spread quickly, carried by the encrypted transmissions Illyra had sent. Other colonies, still reeling from the Council's attacks, began to experience similar changes. The genetic code within them was rewriting itself, adapting to the threats they faced. Some developed heightened senses, able to detect the approach of enemy ships long before they appeared on scanners. Others displayed telekinetic abilities, manipulating objects with their minds. And a few, in moments of extreme stress, unleashed bursts of energy that could disable entire squadrons of drones. The Council's leaders watched in horror as their carefully planned campaign unraveled. Humanity was evolving, and there was no way to predict what they would become. The artifact's warning echoed in their minds. Humanity was a weapon, one that could either save the galaxy or destroy it. But the Council had chosen to see only the threat, and now they were paying the price. Their fleets, once invincible, were being pushed back by a species that refused to be exterminated. On the front lines, a new kind of leader emerged. Captain Yeragvos, Illyra's brother, had always been a soldier, but now he was something more. The changes in his DNA had given him an uncanny ability to strategize, to see patterns in chaos that others missed. Under his command, human forces began to turn the tide. They struck at the Council supply lines, sabotaged their communications, and used their newfound abilities to outmaneuver their enemies. Yarrick knew they couldn't win through brute force alone. They had to be smarter, faster, and more adaptable. And they were. But the war was far from over. The Council, desperate to regain control, turned to increasingly extreme measures. They deployed bioweapons designed to target human DNA, hoping to reverse the changes or wipe out the species entirely. The attacks were devastating, but they only accelerated humanity's evolution. Those who survived emerged stronger, their abilities more refined. The bioweapons, intended to destroy, had instead become a catalyst for humanity's transformation. As the conflict escalated, a rift began to form within the Council. Some members argued for a ceasefire, believing that humanity's awakening was inevitable and that fighting them would only lead to mutual destruction. Others, driven by fear and pride, insisted on total annihilation. The debates grew heated, but the hardliners held the majority. They were determined to see humanity eradicated, no matter the cost. Meanwhile, Yarrick and his forces continued to push forward. They liberated colonies, rallied survivors, and spread the truth about humanity's origins. The more they fought, the more they realized that this war wasn't just about survival. It was about identity. Humanity had been created as a weapon, but they were more than that. They were a people with their own dreams, fears, and desires, and they were determined to forge their own destiny, free from the shadows of the past. The turning point came during the Battle of Orion's Belt. The Council had amassed a massive fleet, intending to crush humanity once and for all. But Yarrick and his forces were ready. Using their evolved abilities, they infiltrated the enemy's ships, disabled their systems, and turned their own weapons against them. The battle was fierce, but humanity's adaptability proved to be their greatest strength. By the time the dust settled, the Council's fleet was in ruins, and humanity had secured their first major victory. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. The once dominant Council had been humbled, and humanity had emerged as a force to be reckoned with. But the war was far from over. The Council's leaders, desperate and cornered, were already planning their next move, and humanity, now fully awakened, knew that the hardest battles were yet to come. The secret in their DNA had been unleashed, and there was no going back. The galaxy would never be the same. The Galactic Council stronghold was a fortress of unimaginable scale, a sprawling complex of ships, stations, and planetary defenses designed to withstand any assault. It was here, at the heart of their power, that the final confrontation would take place. Humanity's forces, now united and fully awakened, approached with a determination born of necessity. This was not just a battle for survival. It was a battle for the future of the galaxy. Captain Yarrick Voss led the charge, his fleet a patchwork of salvaged ships and retrofitted vessels, each one a testament to humanity's resilience. The changes in their DNA had given them an edge, but the Council's defenses were formidable. As they neared the stronghold, the first wave of drones emerged, swarming like insects. Yarrick's forces responded with precision, their evolved abilities allowing them to anticipate and counter the Council's tactics. But the drones were only the beginning. The Council had one last weapon, a relic of the Eternus that they had repurposed for their own use. It was a massive construct, a machine capable of rewriting DNA on a planetary scale. Their plan was simple: use the machine to strip humanity of their abilities, rendering them powerless. Yarrick knew they had to destroy it, but doing so would require getting past the Council's most elite forces. The mission was suicidal, but there was no other choice. As the battle raged, Yarrick received a transmission from an unknown source. It was Alara. She had survived, her body transformed by the artifact's energy into something beyond human. She explained that the machine was not just a weapon, it was a test. The Eternus had left it behind to see if humanity could rise above their flaws and prove themselves worthy of their power. If they could destroy the machine, they would not only save themselves, but also fulfill the purpose for which they had been created. Yarrick didn't hesitate. He assembled a team of his best soldiers, each one enhanced by their evolving DNA, and led them on a daring assault. The Council's forces fought fiercely, but humanity's adaptability gave them the upper hand. They breached the stronghold's defenses, fighting their way to the machine's core. The final obstacle was the Council's leader, a being of immense power who had been augmented by the same technology they sought to use against humanity. The confrontation was brutal. The council leader wielded the machine's energy like a weapon, tearing through Jarek's team with ease. But Yarrick, driven by the knowledge of what was at stake, refused to back down. He tapped into the full potential of his DNA, unleashing abilities he had never known he possessed. The battle was a blur of light and sound, each strike more devastating than the last. In the end, it was Jarek's determination that proved decisive. He destroyed the machine, its core collapsing in a burst of energy that consumed the council leader and much of the stronghold. The explosion sent shockwaves through the galaxy, a signal that the war was over. The council's forces, now leaderless and demoralized, retreated. Humanity had won, but the cost had been high. Jarek's team was gone, and the stronghold was in ruins. As he stood amidst the wreckage, he felt a strange sense of peace. The secret in their DNA had been a burden, but it had also been a gift. They had proven themselves worthy, not just of their power, but of their place in the galaxy. Ilera appeared beside him, her form shimmering with energy. She explained that the artifact's purpose had been fulfilled. Humanity had passed the test, and the Eternus legacy was now theirs to protect. The galaxy would never be the same, but it was a new beginning, not an end. Together, they would build a future where humanity's potential could be realized, not as a weapon but as a force for good. As the dust settled, the galaxy began to heal. The Council's remnants, humbled by their defeat, sought peace. Humanity, now a dominant force, extended an offer of unity. The war had shown them the dangers of fear and division, but it had also shown them the power of hope and cooperation. The secret in their DNA had been buried for a reason, but now it was free. And with it, the galaxy had a chance to become something greater than it had ever been. Yarrick looked out at the stars, knowing that the journey was far from over. But for the first time, he felt a sense of purpose that went beyond survival. They had been created for a reason, and now they would fulfill that purpose, not as weapons but as guardians. The galaxy feared the truth, but the truth had set them free. And in that freedom, they found hope.